turnover, their 5th of the quarter. No look to Mobley, and he dunks on Krejci.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are now completely back on track. The midseason skid is over, and Ty Jerome, man, Ty Jerome is one of the most underrated players in the league. He is really starting to come into his own. He is no longer just a cool story. He is a guy that is making a big impact on this team, and the league is starting to take notice. He just plays with such a poise. Nobody can speed his game up. He's ultra consistent. His shooting splits over the last month or so have been nuts, and he has taken so much pressure off Darius, Garland, and Donovan Mitchell's shoulders. In this video, I want to talk about the Cavs' new 3-game winning streak, as they have completely bounced back and have reclaimed the best record in the NBA, and I also want to go over some Ty Jerome footage, because what he's doing really is not being recognized or talked about enough by fans. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so to state the obvious, the Cavs over the last month have kind of come back to normal, and they have not been playing as good of basketball as the first few months of the season. But it's funny how quickly fans, and especially the media, were to turn on them, when the reality was they were injured. It's tough to win when all your wings are out. LeVert has been hurt, Dean Wade has been hurt, Okoro has been hurt, literally all the defense has been on the sideline. And I think we are starting to realize that Evan Mobley really is a top 3 defensive player in the league. When he was out, the defense was drastically different. It's almost like the Cavs have to run an entirely different scheme when Mobley is hurt. Because when he's on the floor with Allen, the guards don't have to worry about the blow-bys. They can get beat and they will be just fine, because you got a wall of 7-footers waiting in the paint. But when Mobley is gone and it's just Allen, 20 minutes a game, there is nothing protecting the paint except for Tristan Thompson, who already has 1 foot into retirement. And all of a sudden, the guards have to worry about the drives, and they can't only focus on guarding the threes. And with the backcourt already being undersized, that is where they get exposed. So honestly, at the trade deadline, I know everyone wants Cam Johnson. I just want a third big, because it doesn't work only having 2. I think 1 injury just completely screws this team. But the 2 7-footers really do make it possible to be successful with a small backcourt. And then you add what Ty Jerome is doing, and this team is unstoppable. And once the Cavs get back to being healthy and guys like LeVert, Wade, and Okoro come back, this team is going to go back to how they were playing when they were 15-0. And honestly, the main reason why guys like Okoro and Wade are so valuable outside of the size they bring is because they keep Niang and Merrill off the court. Niang can be a fun player when he gets going, and for some reason the Cavs usually play well when he's on the court, but he gets exposed in big moments when players are really trying and the game is intense. And Dean Wade is a guy that just makes this team win. There are crazy stats out there that when Dean Wade plays, the Cavs win like over 95% of the time. I really do think it's because of the size and spacing he provides, both offensively and defensively. Alright, now moving on, let's talk about the Pistons game, because it was originally viewed as a pretty big matchup. Detroit came into this game playing some of the best basketball in the NBA, and of course there was a bit of a friendly rivalry going on with Bickerstaff coming into town, who of course was the Cavs head coach last year. But this was actually kind of a boring game that the Cavs had in control from start to finish. And I didn't know if they were going to come out and dominate, because the Cavs were coming off their first real losing skid of the season, but they dominated. They held Cade Cunningham to 9 of 26 from the field, and Tobias Harris to 1 for 9. And Garland and Mitchell combined for 43 points, and off the bench, guess who? Yep, Ty Jerome had 15 points in 23 minutes, shooting 7 for 11. And like I said, it's literally every game that he does this. Moving over to that last Heat game, when a game is played in Miami, you never know what version of your team you're going to see. But the Cavs were on an absolute heater from start to finish. And I think Mitchell needed to have a game like that to himself without Garland, because he was able to have total command of the offense, and he was able to get back into a rhythm, which is going to be so huge for this team moving forward as the Cavs play through the rest of the dog days of the regular season. Looking at some of the final numbers from that game, Donovan Mitchell had 34 points, but the big thing was that he was efficient, shooting 14 of 23 from the field. And then Evan Mobley had 22 points and 15 rebounds. He really made his presence felt from the jump. And then off the bench, it was Georges Niang and Ty Jerome that took control of this game. Niang had one of his best games of the season, scoring 15 points, going 6 for 9. And then Jerome had a 20 bomb and was a big plus 14 in 29 minutes of playing time. And then not even 24 hours later, this this team had to play again all the way back in Cleveland. Kind of was cruel scheduling by the NBA, and the Hawks have had this team's number all year, so I wasn't expecting much, but the Cavs really played like their hair was on fire, and after jumping out to a double-digit lead early, I knew they had this one in command, and I loved the game plan that they had on Trae Young. I know Sam Merrill just wasn't hitting his shots, and he's been in a slump over the last few weeks, but he stayed with Trae for almost the entire game defensively, and Ty Jerome literally did not miss in this one. And I was actually at this game in person, and just watching what Ty Jerome does from up high makes you realize all the things he does outside of just scoring. He's a super pesky and high energy guy that will wear an opponent down, and on offense he doesn't even initially look to score. His game is built around facilitating and getting others involved, and when he turns the corner off a screen, it's a bucket every time. The dude has insane touch around the rim, and as soon as the Hawks defense stepped up and started focusing on him, that's when he passed to Mitchell, who was able to knock down some open threes to pretty much put away the game. Let's look at some Ty Jerome game film from back in Philly when he broke an NBA record, becoming the first player in history to go 8 for 8 from behind the arc coming off the bench. First off, this was good recognition by Strus to cut across to the other corner to create spacing, and Jerome was initially open, but he does this same move every time. I almost feel like you could guard Jerome by knowing he's not going to shoot it right away. He's going to make a move and freeze you, but it turns out that he is just impossible to guard, because he makes some of the best defenders in the league look silly. Here he fakes the 3, steps left, and knocks one down. And then this right here is what Jerome has been doing all season long that I did not know he was even capable of doing before the season began. I mean, who is expecting this guy to pull up 3 feet behind the arc? And because he is always looking to facilitate and will pass it to the open guy every time, you almost can't face guard him. And since he's knocking down these deep threes like this, he's just so unstoppable. And then to get to that lethal floater game I've been talking about this entire video, because of how many threes Ty has been knocking down as of late, the defense tried to close out, he read it, drove in, and even off balance, he still hit this one with no problem at all. It really has been good to see this basketball team get back on track, and really, the only thing that matters the rest of the season is securing the 1 seed and staying healthy. Here's what Kenny Atkinson and some of the other guys had to say in their post-game interviews.
Coach, obviously understanding that you guys allowed 20 free throws in the first half, and then just allowing 7. What was the mindset and the flip that you guys made, or what was said in the locker room at halftime to make that adjustment?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We meet as a staff before we talk to players, obviously. And as I was walking in, they were talking amongst themselves, man, we got to keep these guys off the free throw line. If we do that, we'll have a good chance of winning the game. And we showed more discipline. And with our young guys, too, CP and Jalen, it might be the hardest part of becoming a good defensive player.
Wow. AC, appreciate you, man.
All right.
AC,
My guys.
This going to be my going out shirt. This ain't going to be my bedtime shirt.
That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point. And if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.